Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the show. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. All right, guys, I am pumped up to give you this video today. It's one of my favorite things to talk about, and that is league-winning players, because these are the players that are going to be the biggest contributing factor to you winning your fantasy league. So I'm excited to give you guys this list. Now, I want to be very clear on what I mean by league winner. These are guys that I think that if you look at fantasy rosters at the end of the season, you're going to see a large percentage of these five players. So the difference between a must-own and a league winner is a must-own is simply just going to smash their ADP. Based on where they're being taken at the draft, they're going to outperform their ADP by a mile. And they could be league winners, but they don't necessarily have league-winning upside. But these players all have league-winning upside. They're guys that if you draft them, they can be the most important contributing factor to you taking home a fantasy championship. And if you look at fantasy rosters at the end of the year, you're going to see a ton of these five guys, I'm fairly certain. So I'm going to start right here with the first player on my list, and that is Chris Olave. I'm probably more excited for this guy this year than I am almost any other player in fantasy. This dude saw a 26.7% team target share in his rookie season, a 40% air yard share, which was top 3 in the NFL, 2.57 yards per route run, which was top 10 in the NFL. Now, I talked about the yards per route run efficiency metric a couple weeks ago in a video and just how important it is and how we need to start paying more attention to it. Look, Ja'Marr Chase in his rookie season saw a 23.7% team target share, but he put up 2.7 yards per route run in his yards per route run efficiency, and then saw a 29.3% target share the following season. So when players when they post awesome yards per route run efficiency, they almost always see a significant bump in target share the following season. We saw the same thing with Justin Jefferson in 2020, 2.65 yards per route run. He went from having a 26.5% team target share to having a 29.9% team target share the following season. So we can reasonably expect Chris Olave to see a significant bump in target share this year. I would be very surprised if he had anything less than a 30% team target share altogether, because we know that Michael Thomas is probably going to miss the entire season with an injury. I don't think any of us actually trust him to stay healthy and on the field. Even so, he's a little bit older now. Chris Olave is going to draw crazy target volume, whether Michael Thomas is on the field or not. And if Michael Thomas goes down with injury, which there's like an 80% chance, Chris Olave, sky's the limit. He could see upwards of a 31% team target share in this offense. We know that he has a quarterback upgrade now in Derek Carr, so the efficiency numbers as far as his yards per target and everything like that and yards per reception should be awesome. I love this dude. He only had 4 touchdowns last year and put up a pretty good amount of fantasy points. So considering the fact that with a quarterback upgrade, the offense should be better, look for him to definitely have some positive touchdown regression and score more than 4 touchdowns this year. Look for him to have 8 to 10 touchdowns in this offense. I love the upside for Chris Olave this season, and this dude is going to win leagues. Next player on my list is going to be Amari Cooper. Now, this is a guy who in his career has always been really disrespected in the fantasy football community. I mean, this dude always has a season where he outperforms his ADP, pretty much like every single season. And in his career, he's only missed 5 games. He's been extremely durable. 6 out of his first 8 seasons, he's had over 1,000 receiving yards. And last year, he had 9 touchdowns, which was 4th in the NFL at the wide receiver position. This was with a bunch of nobodies throwing him the ball. Now you insert Deshaun Watson. This is going to be by far and away the best quarterback that Amari Cooper has ever had in his career. So you look at that and you think, hey, if he could post 1,160 receiving yards in his first year with this offense last season, imagine him and Deshaun Watson having an entire offseason to work together. This dude's going to absolutely explode with this Deshaun Watson slinging him the rock. He has the outside shot. I'm not saying it's likely, but it is in the range of outcomes that Amari Cooper leads all wide receivers in the entire NFL this year in touchdowns. The possibility is there. He was 4th in touchdowns last year with a bunch of nobodies throwing him the ball, and now he has Deshaun Watson throwing him the ball. The offense is inevitably going to be better. So look for Amari Cooper to have some potentially massive touchdown upside. I think he will absolutely, without a doubt, have over 1,200 receiving yards with Deshaun Watson throwing him the ball. The sky's the limit for Amari Cooper. He's going in like the middle rounds. The draft value is absolutely insane for this guy. This dude is going to win leagues, so you need to draft as much of him as possible. Next player on my list is going to be Bijan Robinson. Now, obviously with Bijan Robinson, you're going to have to invest really high draft capital to get this guy. This is a guy, you're going to have to get him in the first round, probably the middle of the first round, okay? And in some cases, maybe even the beginning of the first round. But here's the way I look at things. We've got a young, fresh running back coming into the league who has a soft schedule this season, okay? The Atlanta Falcons have a pretty soft schedule. So that's really good. We know that strength of schedule is a huge contributing factor for running back production. And, we've obviously got an immense generational talent in Bijan Robinson. He's the best running back prospect since Saquon. And, 5'11", 215 pounds, built like a workhorse, runs a 4.4 40, has great cutting abilities. He can bust big runs. He can run in between the tackles and post awesome yards per carry efficiency numbers. His last season in college, he ran the ball for 6.1 yards per carry. He handled an awesome workload, 258 carries. This dude is built to be a workhorse back. They invested top 10 overall draft capital to get this guy in an age where running backs are devalued in the NFL draft. So they think very highly of this guy, obviously. And he's running behind an offensive line that could be a top 5 offensive line in the NFL. The ceiling for the Falcons' offensive line is top 5 offensive line in the entire NFL. Now, that's obviously best case scenario, but it's certainly possible. And I think that they will, without a doubt, be a top 10 offensive line in the NFL. So I love Bijan Robinson running behind this offensive line. If he was the running back one in all of fantasy, I wouldn't be surprised. This guy is going to win leagues this year. And it's a year where the running back position is very polarizing. If you actually have a workhorse running back that can command crazy volume and put up crazy numbers on a weekly basis and be consistent as far as his floor ceiling combination, it's a deadly weapon to have, because you look at all these split backfields, and if you have a true workhorse that's going to give you true workhorse numbers, it can give you huge point swings at the running back position every single week. So, guys, this guy's going to win leagues. Draft Bijan Robinson in the first round with confidence. Next player on my list is going to be Lamar Jackson. Now, Lamar Jackson obviously has been an awesome fantasy quarterback since coming into the league. His 2019 season was his best season by far. He had 28.2 fantasy points per game that season. It was an anomaly of a season for any quarterback to put up 28.2 fantasy points per game, but I think that he can come close to replicating that this year. Now, I don't think he's going to get quite 28.2 fantasy points per game. That's a pretty ridiculous thing to predict for any quarterback, but I think that he has a very good chance of somewhere between 25 and 26 fantasy points per game, which will by far and away be his second best season of all time that he's ever posted. And the reason I say this is because he finally has some passing weapons. Odell Beckham Jr., Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews. This guy finally has some guys to throw the ball to. So I like this. I called him being a bust last year because I didn't like the fact that he was going into the season with Rashad Bateman being his wide receiver one. No disrespect to Rashad Bateman, but he's just not going to provide true wide receiver one upside and true quarterback one upside for a quarterback being the number one wide receiver in the offense. But now that we have an Odell Beckham who's an actual wide receiver one, obviously he's a little bit older, but he still has the ability to post really good wide receiver numbers and make an offense much more efficient. And Zay Flowers, I think, is going to light the league on fire as a rookie. So I love this offense now. I love the fact that he has some receivers to actually throw the ball to. And obviously, there's reports coming out saying that he's going to run the ball less as far as his design runs. A lot of people think this is bad. For me, it's the opposite. I love this for Lamar Jackson. I think this is the best news you could possibly have for Lamar Jackson, considering the fact that when we call all these design runs for Lamar Jackson, and that's the only way the offense has to move the ball, he's a sitting duck, and he's an inevitable walking injury. It's just a ticking time bomb for him to get hurt when every play for the offense is a design run for Lamar Jackson. So we got to keep in mind that plays break down, guys. Not every play goes according to plan. And when that happens, he's still going to improvise and use his legs and run the ball. So although he might not average 10 carries a game like he's done most seasons in his career, he could still average 6 or 7 carries a game. And those carries could be more efficient and less risky because a lot of the defensive attention is going to be on stopping the pass catchers now. That and the obvious positive impact of more pass catchers is more passing yards and more passing touchdowns. So I love the upside for Lamar Jackson this season. Going off the board is the quarterback 5. I don't see any reason why you shouldn't just fade those ridiculous early quarterback picks of Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen. Just wait and draft Lamar Jackson or Justin Fields. Next player on my list, final player that I have here is Jaylen Waddle. Now, this is a guy who, he was a first-round draft pick for a reason. The guy has tremendous talent. He runs a 4.37 40. He isn't quite as fast as Tyreek Hill, but he's pretty darn close. And, the biggest thing that I like for Jaylen Waddle this season was, you look at his 2021 season, he had 7.1 yards per target, which was 71st in the NFL. We wanted to see him get some actual target depth if he was going to improve in fantasy and post more receiving yards. That's exactly what happened in his sophomore season. 11.7 yards per target his sophomore season, first in the NFL. He led the NFL in yards per target. This is a very good sign. They're finally actually targeting him downfield a little bit. He had 1,300 receiving yards in this offense, 462 yards after the catch. Definitely helped his receiving yard totals as well. This was top 10 in the NFL as far as his yards after catch. And we know that this guy's lethal with the ball in his hands. He has some of the best yards after catch running abilities in the entire NFL. And he's playing in an offense that I think has a massive weekly ceiling, because with him and Tyreek Hill in the offense being force-fed the ball, this offense is going to put up weeks where they put 40-plus points on the board as far as just how many points their team scores in the week. So the weekly ceiling is massive with Jaylen Waddle. I think this dude is going to win leagues this year. All right, guys, I do appreciate you tuning into the video. I'll catch you later.